All right, you're welcome to Talking Points today, the 16th day in the month of July 2020. I am Michael Olatunbosun Bosun. You know, Talking Points is about setting agenda. And, you know, when we set agenda, the basic thing about it is to bring matters that concern us as a people to the table and to also make sure that we do what is necessary. Okay, so recently, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, signed the amended 2020 budget. And one of the very key elements in the 2020 amended budget is the fact that the nation has, really rationalized down expectations in terms of revenue. And when you talk about the shortfall in the price of petroleum globally, which is our mainstay, you need to understand that the over 8 trillion naira, expected would basically be affected by the current situations on ground, the problem with the price of the petroleum product, as well as the shrinking of the economic space in the country. For instance, one of those interesting things is that the nation is going to be relying on wholesale, if you care, on collection of taxes. And don't forget that the Finance Act that was signed by Mr. President also reflected the fact that the value-added tax had been, really, increased, and so many other means of collecting tax have been put to the table. A big question for all of us is the fact that our, tax coverage, tax to GDP ratio in this country is still very low. I understand that the tax to GDP ratio in Nigeria increased by 0.4 percentage points from 5.3% in 2016 to 5.7% in 2017. In comparison to the average for the 26 African countries in revenue statistics in Africa 2019, Nigeria remained 17.2% over the same period. So you understand that taxation is very important in whatever it is that we're doing. And up till now, there's still this impression in town that a lot of Nigerians still don't pay taxes. Or if you like, you say a lot of people are underpaying taxes. And you see, arguments back and forth about taxation is that a lot of people say, well, we are paying, yes, but it's not reflecting in deliverance. In governance delivery. So because it's expected that once we pay taxes in this country, what you get is the dividends of governance. I basically try to avoid dividends of democracy because whether it is a democracy or not, whether it is socialism or capitalism, you have to pay taxes to government. I know we've had conversations about this matter over time. We're going to extend this conversation on the program today, and I have guests in the house. They are from the Tax, Justice and Governance platform in Oyo State. I remember that over in the last couple of years, I've had conversations with them on this program, Talking Points on Splash FM. And the basic thing about their focus is that there should be justice in the distribution of our national wealth. And our national wealth also has a tax particle. This tax element of our national wealth simply presupposes that when people pay taxes, they should get what accrues to them as citizens of Nigeria. And the other thing about it is that they should also have a sense of justice. When taxes are going to be rolled back to the society. When the government is going to be dishing back, development and the rest of it. When government is going to be planning, they ought to be infusing it in equal measure. And that ties in with the SDGs mantra that says, leave no one behind. That's basically the message for the program today. We will be coming to that on the program Talking Points this afternoon. And I have guests in the house already. We'll just be looking at making sure that we do justice to this matter. on the program today, Talking Points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan. So I'll first of all talk about what taxation is indeed, and then we'll come to what is on the table. I mean, this platform, their advocacy over time. I know that they are a network that they're working on making sure that things go as planned when it comes to tax and taxation issues in the country. Mrs. Ola Salami is the Oyo State Coordinator, Tax Justice and Governance Platform. Welcome to Talking Points, Madam.
Thank you, Michael Olatubosun.
Welcome.
And well done.
All right. I also have Mr. Olatunji Oluwabukola. He is the Secretary, Tax Justice and Governance Platform in Oyo State. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with the question of taxation in Nigeria. I was looking at, I remember I've attended a couple of programs, and one of those things that will strike you about us is that we are a country where tax is perceived to only be paid by people in the public, in the formal sector. I want to know why these things happen that way. But before we go there, what is the import of taxation in the life of a country? Let me start with Mrs. Ola Salami. Talk to me now. When you tell people to pay taxes, they basically ask you what is in it for us. So why do countries or governments collect tax in the first instance?
Yes, thank you. Before I go to that, let me introduce our platform. Tax Justice and Governance Platform is inaugurated in Oyo State in 2017, and we are commissioned to carry out certain obligations, duties in our society to mobilize the critical mass of the informal sector into the tax net, and equally to interface with the government to ensure that there is service delivery.
Okay, service delivery. All
yes.
right.
So to your question, taxation is quite important. Paying tax, it's only a pity that Nigeria, we are over-dependent on oil money. If not for our dependence on oil money, we would definitely make a good use of tax, which is a form of revenue to the government in running public expenditures, public services to the people, providing services to the people. And that is why we come up with a model, tax to service. Tax to service. It is because we are getting money from the oil. And these days, the oil revenue is dwindling by the day. And this is being precipitated by even this global pandemic, the coronavirus, that is really ravaging the world. It's not, Nigeria is not the only exception in it. We are all in it together. Okay. And those people taking oil from us, they are also facing this problem of COVID-19. And so we have our oil, but what about people getting it from us? So definitely in the Federation accounts, oil revenue is dwindling. Okay. And so it is so much important for us to look inward to generate revenue for public services.
You talk about looking inward to generate revenue for public services. The regular argument is that why should I pay when I'm not getting service? You talked about service delivery a while ago. Why should I pay?
Yes. Well, people are with that assumption in Nigeria. Look at our roads. Look at our roads. All our roads are terrible.
Okay.
Provision of drinkable water, what do they call it? Potable water for people. Look at the electricity, epileptic in service. A lot of things that we need to fix. And this is really discouraging to people. When you ask them to pay, they will argue it out. I remember one time I went to a Road Axis for our research, and I was, trying to carry out the research and administer questionnaire. And the people there said they would have lynched me if I were not to be a woman. The fact that I was a woman, and they have to exempt me from being lynched, because they said whoever come to them to discuss any issue of tax, they are going to stone such a person. Then I try to educate them that everything is going to change. We are improving. I have that belief. I have that belief. Even though it's a belief, it's not really Well, the hope. Let's continue open and let's mobilize. Let's begin to talk. As I said earlier, I said Tax Justice and Governance Platform is a platform that stands in between the government and the people.
I know,
And we are not talking to the people alone to pay tax. We are meeting government to do the needful, to provide the necessary services. And that is why we have come up with the model, tax to service. If people are paying voluntarily, without being, pushed around, I think government willingly should be responsive.
Okay. Let me come
giving back to the society.
Let me come back to Mr. Olatunji Oluwabukola. You see, the assumption is that when you pay, government will deliver. But a lot of times, she was talking about drinkable water. I know that many of us will argue that we produce our own water, we produce our own electricity, we run diesel and petrol. We sometimes in communities they contribute to make roads. Sometimes communities, contribute money to even set up a building for the police to come and take in their communities. Sometimes these things do happen, and people will ask you, why should I pay? I want to stay on that question before we go on this break. I want to stay on that question. Even the people who use public transport, they tell you the holes, the potholes and all that the government should fix it first and then come to us to collect money. That's the argument.
Let me say that for someone to be a responsible citizen, you have to pay your tax for you to be responsible. And when we say someone is responsible, we know what it entails. And let me say that for you to be involved in the process of governance, for you to be able to ask questions, you're supposed to pay your tax, for you to have the boldness, for you to have the effrontery to ask questions that, how are you spending our money? It's a project. Nigeria is a project, or your state is a project. If you are not committing anything, you don't have mouth to ask. That how are you spending our money? It's as if you are in a family and you agree in a family to have something like you can call a joint project, and someone is not committing into that project. That person will not be able to ask questions. And in the process of governance, citizens should be involved. So if citizens will be involved, it will be a responsible citizen that will be involved. So definitely, if you are not paying tax, you are not responsible.
All right, so we need to be responsible, because if we're not paying tax, we're not responsible. A lot of people will take offense there, but we will open this matter up when we come back from this break. It's still Talking Points on Splash FM. When we come back, we will talk about a certain project on the table and what exactly are the processes for all of us, and particularly for the Tax Justice and Governance Platform in Oyo State. I am also a very, a key member of this platform. So this is a conversation I'm interested in talking about after this break. All right, you're welcome. Still Talking Points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan. We're still talking taxation. And basically, I'm looking at this project. It is called Tax to Service on Financing financing for development projects. And I'm trying to look at a few things about this thing on the internet. I know that it is a project aimed at making sure that many more people, especially women, are brought into the tax net. We've always been talking about expanding the tax net. When we have government agencies or come on our programs, we basically always talk about expanding the tax net, because I'm not sure why it is happening like that. But I'm going to bring you to this matter. Why precisely do you have a lot of people outside the tax net, apart from the fact that people give all these kinds of reasons that the government is not delivering and all that? Some people who even want to genuinely pay taxes also find it difficult to, breach the bureaucracy. There's this bureaucracy. So what are the things that you are looking at, are working on? I agree, during the intro, you talk to me about interfacing between the government and the people. What exactly are you talking about here?
Yes, to your question, you said why are we trying to expand the tax net? Well, I will tell you that government is over-dependent on oil revenue. And let me tell you, a government that has only one source of revenue, we have some problems. That is exactly what we are facing now.
Okay.
So, the over-dependence on oil revenue is what is killing us in this country. We need to use oil revenue to develop other sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. So, because we over-depend, like other European countries, they will say, we have done this with taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money. You see them repeating it, re-echoing it. And that is why they face it clearly and they ensure that corruption is eliminated in their system. Because they believe it's taxpayers' money and they have inclusive governance. So, when you have contributed money into a coffer, you will want to see
what exactly they are doing with the money.
But because this money is oil money, is just coming and we're just using it as it is, that is why the entire citizen is not concerned. We feel unconcerned about it. If we are all, carrying out that responsibility of paying tax, we will want to look at what they are using the money for.
So that's the basic campaign of tax justice and governance platform.
Yes, we also we want people to pay more and more people into the tax net, especially the informal sector. You see, the informal sector has been escaping. Some of the people in the evading. Let me use evading.
Okay.
Have been evading tax. We have tax evasion and tax avoidance.
Tax avoidance.
Yes, we have tax evasion, we have tax avoidance. In the formal sector, this is not possible. They pay.
Oh, yes.
In
it's
the formal
deducted
sector,
from the source.
It is deducted from the source. But here, in the informal sector, somebody can be right inside his own sitting room and making millions of naira. And it's not been tracked.
You have a question. She talked about tracking.
Yes.
You have a question of coverage now. Okay. When you say tax for financing for development, it's very important. If we don't, particularly at this period of the pandemic, we have to understand that taxation is the way to go. Yes. The government has to primarily make money from taxation in order to bring infrastructure to the table rather than borrow. Yes. Okay, so taxation will help us. Yes. But you see, she talked about data, and I want to come to that. For this project, when you say financing for development projects, that definitely means that government must collect money, collect taxes, and then use the taxes to, build infrastructure, make development to come to the table. But before you are able to collect the taxes exhaustively, you have to be able to have coverage. Yes. So I want to ask you, at what level have you interfaced with the, internal revenue, bodies and even the federal revenue generation agencies? At what level have you interfaced with them, and what has been the outcome in this project?
Let me say that the platform has tried as much as possible to interface with the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Oyo State Board of Internal Revenue, though the response at the level of the Oyo State Internal Revenue is not encouraging. Okay. Because we're supposed to work hand in hand. And let me flash back that the last time we are here, we equally said it that the Board of Internal Revenue is not encouraging. Their response is not encouraging. Likewise.
But we have a change of government.
Yes,
now. So there's something, and this government has said that they like to expand the IGR, threshold.
They are saying it, but the fact is that when you have a group of civil society working on what is very, very germane to your own discipline or to your own effort, you're supposed to at least encourage those people by giving adequate information, because we are very, very close to the people at the grassroots. Let me say that for us to have an adequate database, there is need for government to reach out. And let me say that maybe early this year or last year, Oyo State government have a town hall meeting on tax. Yeah. It's a good thing, which must continue.
Yes.
But how are we localizing all this? Because majority of the people that are supposed to pay did not attend that program. And they may not even hear it.
So stepping
down that information to the grassroots is very, very jamming. And for people to also respond, you have to go to them and you have to let them know what you are doing.
Okay.
For them to be involved.
So what are you doing as Tax Justice and Governance Platform in this regard?
Let me say that for us to achieve this, tax to service, we are on advocacy to relevant stakeholders, be it government, be it private, be it public, and even to the citizen. We have been to major points of interventions. And what we are getting, the feelers we are getting is that citizens are willing to pay, but there are issues. How are they going to pay?
Okay.
Some people are not trusting the government with their payments. That, okay, if we are paying, they are not giving us this. And I can count about 5 spots that we have to work on, that they are having issues that are confronting them. They are saying they are paying, but they are not seeing the response from the government in giving them infrastructures. For instance, there are markets that they need water, they need toilets, they need accessible road. All these are not there. And they are paying.
Okay.
So we facilitate a meeting between the market men and women and that particular local government. And actually, we have the truth.
Okay. Now, I want to ask.
Let me just add something to that.
Okay.
The efforts that our platform has been making to ensure that more and more people get into the net. We have made jingles. We have jingles that we have played in radio stations. Mm-hmm. We have made flyers that we give to people. Mm-hmm. We have made stickers that we even give to people. Mm-hmm. We have made posters that we have given to the people. Okay. And we have interfaced with the Board of Internal Revenue some years back, and we are hoping to still interface with them. One of the things we are recommending to them is to remove human factor in collecting tax revenue.
What do you mean by that? What do you want?
What I mean is to digitalize payments.
We are talking about, for instance, I know that one of your advocacies has been to, bring market women into play. You are bringing market women and you want to digitalize the platform?
There's a way around it.
So how do you do it?
There's a way around it. Governments can appoint people. Machine cannot operate themselves.
Yes.
When I say let's remove human interference in the payment, what we stand on is that people that are to collect taxes from the citizens should be armed with digital devices.
Okay.
Whereby the people we pay. Most of the market women that they say, they have ATM cards. They have.
Okay.
They have ATM cards.
So you're talking about devices like POS and the rest of it?
POS, and even making points, payment points.
Accessible to people.
Accessible to people. So that market women will not want to leave their markets, their stores, and travel far to pay. But if you make it accessible to them, you keep it easy, you keep it very close to them. I know a good number of them will be ready to pay.
How do you determine? I want to focus a little on the market women you are talking about. You are strictly informal sector.
Yeah.
The market women, the artisans and the rest of them. How do you determine the right amount of tax for these people when you know that they are informal, basically informally informal?
That is why I said, for now, we can't say it is not our right or responsibility to say this is the right amount of estimation that these people should pay. It is government's responsibility.
Okay.
And they have a way of making enumerations of such things. They have a way of looking at them, assessing them. For instance, people selling pepper, onions, and all that in the market. We can look at them and give them a flat rate that they pay. And artisans and some of the corporate bodies, like estate agents, I think they should have what to pay.
Okay.
Painters should have what to pay.
I want to come back to